So we have the director of 75 Park. You want to introduce the clip?
Sure. Good evening, everybody. My name is Everette Hamlette. I am the director of 75 Park, and the documentary is about my neighborhood playground in the South Bronx and kind of myself understanding the history of my neighborhood and the park.
Growing up, before or after school, we went to Sundance Special Playground, but we called it 75 Park because it was right next to Pier 75. One of the cool parts about my mom walking me to school every morning is that if I woke up early enough, she allowed me to play in the park for a little bit before school started. You would go to the park and you would speak to your friends, you would find your friends there. It was a hub, it was a capital, it was where the community met up. When I graduated from college, I chose to come home, to live with my parents and my family. This is my room. I actually grew up in this room. I grew up in this house. Here's a view from our window. When I came home, I realized the park was being reconstructed. Fences completely up, like you weren't even able to walk on the stairs. I was just in shock, because I had no heads up. And I was there before I graduated. I didn't see any signs up. I didn't get any kind of heads up from the community, like no one knew. I went around to the other side of the park and I saw that it wasn't gonna be done till 2018. And I think to me, it just hurt. I'm like, whoa, what am I supposed to do? At a point in my life where I didn't know where I was going, I just wanted to hold on to the past. So growing up, I remember you had a camcorder and you would like record a lot of barbecues or like birthday parties on VHS.
Yeah, and I used to record, so I can look back and see the days when y'all was little, growing up. We was partying and doing that thing. Outings in the park. When I used to take y'all to the park.
As school was out at 3 o'clock, I was ready to be outside with you guys. You guys come upstairs, wash your hands, eat, and we go back outside. The first time I took you to the park was like, when you was about 3.
And what was that like?
That was like very action-packed.
Why?
Because you had that ball, just to bounce in it, just to roll in it, you know, just to go in with it. Very exciting.
Certified Park has a lot of memories for me, especially in this neighborhood. I've seen it change a lot. It has good and bad. I've seen a few of my friends who got killed there. Okay, so that brings back bad memories for the park, but then I have good memories with y'all when I used to take y'all to the park. So it has a mixed thing for me, good and bad.
So why did you and this family stay in this neighborhood for so long?
You had great people here who looked out for each other. And now that y'all grown, y'all still got your friends.
Thank you.
Okay, so we'll kick it off with Do you have any questions you want to start with, or?
Sure. What were your thoughts on the cut?
I mean, just watching that is so emotional. I've worked on a number of first-person films, and this immediately grabs me right away because, you just have such a natural gift for speaking from such a personal place and, drawing out your world and a place, in a particular place of importance to you, and automatically I'm automatically like hit with this feeling of like, what does it mean, to, have, what does home mean? And just your personal archive is such a joy to watch, and watch with, you with your family. And so like most of the time, like people that I worked with who are in their own films often don't want to be in their own films.
I did not want to be in this film.
You wouldn't know it. There's just such richness and emotion there, and so I really immediately want to know more. And also I'm like, okay, but you're done, right? So I'm curious to know like what the big questions you have right now in your process are.
So originally, when I first started documenting this process, I was working with Graham, and I pitched the idea to him of this park. So a lot of the earlier footage was just me documenting everything, and there was no thought in my mind that I would be in it. So after discussing with Graham like the potential of this documentary, I had to go back and shoot everything from a specific point of view. So in the earlier stages, we actually had like double of everything. And I was the editor early on, and recently I stepped down from there with the assistance of Tomas, our new editor. And it was just such a roller coaster of just what should we incorporate in? Should we go chronologically? Should we go select a storyline and follow that through the characters that we incorporate into the documentary? So Tomas did a wonderful job. A lot of the advice you're giving us earlier is actually what he did when he came on. He watched everything. He started to select certain scenes that he liked most and started to build around those scenes, and we're actually steadily approaching the picture log. So even this cut here was my first time seeing it. I saw an earlier version of it last week, but this is slightly different. So he's consistently looking at different angles, but yet keeping true to the original cut that we edited with that outside perspective. So to answer your question in short, we're approaching picture lock hopefully in a few months.
Wow, congratulations. What has it been like to sort of trust put your story in someone else's hands, especially after editing for so long?
That's a great question, and I actually, until you ask it right now, I never even thought of it in that regard, like putting my story in his hands. We actually had another editor prior, and similarly, they're just drawn to the story as is, and after they watch it themselves, they just begin to kind of lay things out as it was, but then add their own perspective to it. And something you said earlier that I couldn't get around as an editor is that you try to step back from looking at it from a director's perspective and look at it from how would the audience react, how would the audience take what they're seeing. And it was very hard for me to do that. So thankfully, they are the audience. Like if I'm not creating a story for them and my community, then who am I creating the story for? So their perspective definitely, in my opinion, helped progress the documentary in a positive trajectory.
Yeah, absolutely. I found that whenever I get stuck, and I feel like it's like a consistent sort of feedback loop, like where like I rely on especially later on in an edit for a director's fresh perspective when I no longer have any. And that's hard for you because, it's your life, you have had a long trajectory with this. And so, I mean, sometimes in those cases, like, I'll just be like, let's not watch this film for the 1000th time at our desk. Like, why don't I come over and we'll watch in your living room, or you can come watch in my living room, or if you can watch it big somewhere, hopefully
Yeah, we've had 2 rough cut screenings with the community in a local coffee shop that's actually featured in the documentary as well. And then we'll do a survey after and then a Q&A so I can really speak with everyone, fresh emotions, fresh thoughts, and kind of interact. Because as I said before, I'm making this film not only for my friends and family, but my community, because I truly want everyone to understand the history of our community the way I do and kind of come to hopefully some of the same realizations that I did, and that would help our community grow.
Yeah, I mean, well, you are well on your way. I mean, it's the way that you just so elegantly, you know, tell the story up front, you know, from such a vivid perspective, you know, like lets us in the right way, but then even just very, whenever I think of like elegance, I think about it, like, I have this like obsession with like elegance from like, as scientists talk about it, where they mean like, you know, in the most like distilled, simple way, you know, very simple, but like, and it's like most distilled essence, and I think that that is like, you know, truly great, you know, creative output as well, and I think that's our job as artists, to, you know, say something very complicated in a very simple way, and that's what I see in your film. It's really beautiful. I'm really excited for you. And I'm curious if you have anything that's been coming up consistently in feedback that feels like it, you know, you're just having a, you know, what's that stone you need to kick over in order to really call it locked?
That's a great question, and if I had the answer, it would be locked. But I think that whenever we have these rough screenings, the audience is drawn to 1 or 2 characters that are extremely powerful, and we attempt, you know, I don't know if you experience this, but not every character is going to feel as powerful as the most powerful character. So we try to story build around each character to strengthen them, so there's no anchor, so to speak. That's been one struggle, and 2, just opening the documentary and finalizing it. The first time we had a screening, people just wanted more of a, less of a cliffhanger, more of a, okay, what's next? How do we help? How do we get involved? And then we tried to incorporate that in a rough screening, kind of combined the 2, and still it landed with some, but not most. And again, something you might have experienced, you can't please everyone, but we definitely want to get to a point where most of the community would feel satisfied, most of the community would feel like they know what to do, they have a strong understanding of what's next and what's to come. And I actually do have a question for you. If there was one thing that, or a little bit of advice you can give to myself, Tomas, my team, to help strengthen the documentary, what would that be?
Oh my gosh, in general? I might have to follow up with you offline about that and talk more about it, but yeah, I think that's a longer,
Okay. Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you both. And our next film is Game On.